Hello everyone, TrUSivraj here, and today I wanted to talk about how everyone and their mother seems to be forgetting that effect resistance is a very powerful stat, and it seems like every video I watch, almost no one is building it. Everyone's talking about speed. Now, speed is obviously a very important stat as well, but if you think about the fact that if your character is being stunned even once, they're losing an entire turn. And people are even making the notion that only your supports should have it. Well, if your DPS is faster than your support, and that DPS gets stunned, that DPS still loses their turn. So wouldn't it be better to have, say, 30% at minimum effect resistance to give yourself a 30% chance to not be stunned? Most people I'm seeing have less than 15%. Heck, two of my main characters right now, who I'm eventually going to be working on to get effect resistance, only have 12 and 7.7%. That's horrible. And one of the easiest monsters I could describe this to would be the freezing monster that you can see in either Simulated Universe or out in the world, who buffs himself. He has a twin brother who's fire, by the way, but he buffs himself, and then a turn later, he hits your entire team with this ice ability, and more times than not, freezes them over and over and over again. And with no effect rate, you can literally get stalled out of the fight to the point that he enrages and then just starts chiseling your team to death because they're constantly being frozen back to back to back. Now imagine if you just had, say, 30% effect res, you would likely at least get 1 or 2 turns out of every essentially out of every 3, to where you can get something going to either prevent it from happening again by breaking him, or cleanse your other teammates with someone like Bronya so that they can continue to damage despite being frozen by him here and there. And now a great character that we can use as a reference here is Locha. This dude is busted beyond compare. Like we all know it. He has automatic healing, he's got cleansing, he has a dispel on the enemy, all this fun stuff, right? Well, if you notice about one of his traces, he has an ability that basically makes it where when his healing field is on the battlefield, it also increases every character's effect resistance by 70%. Now, it's not worded that way specifically, but that's essentially what it's doing. Like, it's not going to prevent dots, so to say, but it will prevent freezes, stuns, all that fun stuff. And so Locha alone is pretty huge, and a huge exception of a support to have on your team who's able to sit here and just passively proc his field, and basically your team is almost invincible in terms of being hit by any kind of freezing or other types of CC. But you take him out of the picture, and suddenly you have a lot less choices out there who can prevent or react to one of your allies being frozen. And I honestly wish I had recorded the video I ran a few moments ago, where I'm just trying to blitz through the content just to get to the rewards, right? And basically I ran into this guy, and I was running my level 60 hook, and basically my hook has like 30% resistance, so she was able to kind of blitz through his stuns. But because almost everyone else on my team except for Japard kept getting frozen, Hook just eventually died, because even Japard, despite his shield, would get frozen here and there. Even at 33%, he has 33% effect resistance, and even he ended up getting frozen a few times too many, and she ended up dying. She's squishy, so it's a bit of an exception. If you had a built-up character, they likely would have lasted way longer than my Hook did. But Hook was able to break the enemy, she could deal enough damage, etc. So I thought she'd be fine, and so I left it on auto, and what do you know, I come back and Hook's dead. So that's just one of my many examples as to why effect resistance can really, really, really make or break your games. I mean, again, if you're one of those people who are hard pressed on, getting multiple turns, well, how do you think it feels where you've got all these turns, the boss finally gets their turn, they freeze your whole team basically, and now you've got to wait until the right person breaks out to be able to either cleanse your DPS or hope that your DPS doesn't get frozen again and again and again, just to be able to start your rotation back up again. Like, imagine that. You're losing so many valuable turns simply because you didn't build any effect resistance. And I would say it even goes pretty perfectly as the 4th stat, because typically you can go attack percent, crit rate, crit damage, right? And then some people might go for break effect, or some people might want speed. Well, I mean, where's the effect resistance? Throw some effect resistance in there. Pray to the RNG gods, you get a few procs into effect resistance. Maybe like 2 or 3 procs puts you at like 12 to 16%. That's like honestly all you could ask for on maybe 2 to 3 pieces, and you're golden. You don't need it to get to 80 or something like that. Like obviously that's just a bit absurd, but just enough to where you're feeling comfortable that you at least know you're going to resist 1 out of 3 attempts to freeze your team. Because investing too much in it obviously is just as bad as anything else. Too much of a good thing is still a bad thing. You don't want your entire team doing half their damage because you fully loaded all their substats into 30% effect resistance across like 3 or 4 of your pieces, right? Like that's absurd. You've got answers to being CC'd. It's just you don't want to be CC'd each and every time, because at that point it's now affecting your rotation. You should have just enough, which I'm saying is a good healthy 30 to 40%, to be able to resist most CC comfortably and potentially kill the boss before you ever actually get CC'd. Even fighting this ice guy with just 30% on like two of my characters, I can comfortably still kill this boss with almost no issues, because I've got a cleansing Bronya and a cleansing March 7th. But if I were to say have Yukong in this team who can do more damage, she might still die along with maybe my DPS, or should I say more like my support, because my DPS is going to be tankier as she's a destruction character and I built her to actually be defensive. Because if you look at her traces, physical MC is more of a mixed bag. She's not just a glass cannon like your blades or your imbibitors, right? So yeah, just looking into all that, effect res is very overlooked in my opinion based on a lot of people. And if you just work on getting that stat built up at least moderately across your entire team, you're gonna feel so much better and hate your life so much less when an enemy such as say Cocolia comes around in Simulated Universe and you have to avoid all of her freezing nonsense. Thank you all for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and a comment below. Feel free to subscribe, it's absolutely free. So again, thank you all for watching, and I will see y'all next time.
Rules are made to be broken.
Check out this awesome move! Markers active. Time for a good old counterattack.
To guard and defend. Crush them!